Venezuela is convulsing from hunger. That blunt statement from New York Times Andes bureau chief Nicholas Casey sums up that nation's crisis. Casey writes that dozens of food riots, protests, and mass lootings have erupted in the past 2 weeks. Businesses are ransacked, their shelves left empty, and at least 5 people have been killed. Nicholas Casey joining us now from Caracas, where he is based. Describe what you're experiencing there right now, Nick.
Well, if you just get up in the morning in Caracas and walk down the street, you'll see that there are huge lines of people forming as early as 5 a.m. in front of grocery stores. And that's because people are looking for food. They may be 50 people, they may be 500 people waiting. And in the last couple of weeks, these lines have turned into mobs, which have come to sack the stores, to take everything in these stores. And this is happening now throughout the country, where there have been lootings because people are so hungry. People were even going after the delivery trucks that are delivering the food, tearing open the back of the trucks and taking everything inside. And that's meant that the trucks now, the foods, are being transported with armed guards. And there are even, in many places, National Guardsmen standing in front of the bakeries so people don't take the bread.
You know, with the largest oil reserves in the world, why can't Venezuela feed its people?
Well, it's because of the oil that, ironically, Venezuela is in so much trouble right now. The country became so dependent on the price of oil that the government assumed that with high prices of oil, they would be able to do everything that they could for as long as they needed. Now that the price of oil has fallen, they're realizing that they can't provide everything that they had promised. And for that reason, they don't have enough money to import the food that they need. And they just don't have as much in the government subsidized stores that they used to.
And because they let their agricultural production slide, they don't have the capacity to do that. Isn't this exactly what this government, this socialist government, promised to prevent after that 1989 so-called Caracas clash?
Yes, in 1989, Venezuela found itself in a very similar position as it does today. The oil price had fallen again, and there were lines and subsidies were being cut. And what happened was that people in Caracas started to rise up against the government and attack. This was a very bloody episode in Venezuela's history. And it also made a big impression on Hugo Chavez, who would eventually become the president. He always cited the Caracas clash, as the reason, as the point when he knew that leftists in Venezuela needed to take charge of the government and to try to provide for the people. Ironically now, it's Hugo Chavez's successors that are finding themselves in the exact same position, a very similar position, as those during the Caracas found themselves in during those years of those huge clashes.
Nicholas Casey, Andes bureau chief for the New York Times, joining us by Skype from Caracas. Nicholas, thank you so much. We appreciate your time.
Thanks so much.